Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gap Major and this is WoWs Weekly. WoWs Weekly is the weekly news video which covers news of World of Warships Legends in the week past and the week coming up. Now, with today being the day in which the patch notes are being officially released as part of the usual, this WoWs Weekly we will be going over the draft patch notes that has been sent out to the CCs. Now these are always subject to change, so what I'm going to do is go over and give like a high level view, and then obviously later today we will be doing a live stream where we take a more in-depth view and formal discussion regarding the official patch notes which will have been released before the release of this video. So when it comes to the official patch notes, they will be linked down in the description, and the trailer can't top right now if it's out, and also will be on the end screen. So from the future campaign, what can we expect? Well, first of all, there's a new campaign called Order and Discipline. This will be a Soviet/Russian campaign with 100 milestones spread over 5 weeks. The end reward will be a tier 7 premium Russian cruiser. My pronunciation is going to be absolute garbage here, but let's have a go. Pytri Bagration? Yes, Bagration. Pytri Bagration. I've really messed that up, I'm sure. Anyway, obviously she will be locked behind the amity backing, which is remaining at 2,500 doubloons. This Russian cruiser will have 9 7-inch guns, which is quite intriguing. She's not, so it's not 6-inch guns as like a light cruiser, but not 8-inch guns as a heavy cruiser almost. She's that kind of like middle ground, so I'm not exactly sure what that is really going to be offering you. Probably lots of HE potential more than likely. Apparently she might have a reasonable anti-aircraft suite, which should be intriguing, and she looks like she's going to be quite fast, with a speed of 34.5 knots. Not the fastest. I think the Japanese are still going to be getting away there with their 36 knots, but I guess it does give you some flexibility in your gameplay. Then with regards to the campaign, obviously there's rewards with and without amity backing. The total amount of rewards without amity backing is valued at 15,760. And I guess the juicy things that you're probably going to be intrigued on is 14 promotionals, 1 insignia, 1 universal accommodation. When it comes to the amity backing, the total amount of rewards with amity backing is 69,990. And the special rewards, 26 promotional orders, 3 insignias, 3 commendations, and 750 doubloons. Now the reason why the amount of doubloons that you receive during campaigns is lower than it used to be in the past is because they've tried to move, like almost spread doubloons out between, not just like rather than just being the campaign, between the campaign and like the events. So obviously this patch we do have some seasons of arena, I should say. Now, in regards to a future collaboration, as we kind of saw on World of Warships PC, it looks like it's coming over here as well. There is going to be a return to the Transformers with 4 new commanders coming to the game. There will be GRIMLOCK for the French battleship kind of style commander, Hot Rod for a British cruiser commander, SOUNDWAVE for an Italian cruiser commander, and then we have STARSCREAM for a German aircraft carrier commander. Now, in regards to that does mean there will be a Transformer-related permanent camouflage for the French battleship Richelieu, British cruiser Edinburgh, Italian cruiser Amalfi, and the German aircraft carrier August von Parsifal. So, all the tier 7s. Now, these do look to be offering some interesting traits, but we'll obviously go into more depth with those later on. Now, with regards to the Transformer content, the content from the previous collaboration, which was the Commanders Megatron, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee and Rumble, will be available from the first week of the update, which starts on August the 30th. Whereas the new commanders, GRIMLOCK, Hot Rod, SOUNDWAVE and STARSCREAM, will be available on week 2, which will start on September the 6th. All this patch, we do see an introduction of a new tech tree split in regards to Russian destroyers. Now these destroyers will obviously be entering early access, that's the tier 4, 5 and 6, and then will be fully released and researchable along with the tier 7 in the following update. Now, there isn't too much information regarding these destroyers, and amusingly, I think two of these destroyers are kind of new to Legends. If you want me to really mess up the names, then there's a Subarats Ilnini for tier 4. We couldn't really recognise that. There's the tier 5, which is the Bovoy. Now, interestingly, that looks to be the same hull as the Ogdovoy, so potentially could be a nerfed Ogdovoy. Then there's the Kiev at tier 6, and then in the future there will be the Udaloi at tier 7. Those pronunciations are probably completely horrendous, so I do apologise. In regards to Arena, as we already mentioned, there is going to be some seasons of Arena, so obviously we're looking at 3 seasons, season 5, 6 and 7. Now these will be short time seasons, so they're going to be potentially just weekend sprints, and the arms race mechanic will be active in all seasons of Arena in this case. Now these tiers of ships that you'll be able to play in this season of Arena coming up, and etc. So they're going to be tiers 5, 6 and 7, so maybe... And let's just guess. Let's just say season 5 be tier 5 ships, season 6 be tier 6 ships, and season 7 be tier 7 ships. At least that's probably what I would do. Now, obviously, there will be no carriers in these seasons of Arena, and the first season of Arena will start on the 9th of September. So I'm just going to quickly put up the calendar and just double confirm. 9th of September, that's a Thursday. So that does look like it's going to be weekend sprints. So potentially we might have like a season going from the 9th to the 13th, 16th to the 20th, and 24th to the 27th, I guess you could say. Now, there will be a new big crate. So as you know, we've had like the big crate that then became the winter big crate, which then became the summer big crate. So that's now going to be changing to we don't really have a name for it as yet, but there will be another big crate, I guess you could say, maybe the autumn big crate, I guess. Now the ships that will be available in this are being rotated, so the ships which will now be droppable will be London, West Virginia and Savitska, the pan-European destroyer. Obviously the drop rates and stuff will be available on the containers link in the future, probably after the patch has dropped. In regard to balance changes, there are a lot of balance changes to commanders and to ships. I think so. We'll just go through, and what I'll do, I'll just give it a quick summary whether it's a nerf or a buff. The tier 7 Cleveland looks to be getting a nerf which affects her main battery reload. The legendary tier Alaska appears to be receiving a buff in regards to her dispersion, armor piercing, shell penetration, and her repair party reload time and HP regeneration. The Nagato appears to be receiving a buff in regards to her top speed and her rudder shift, along with her shell grouping. The Kagero is getting a buff in regards to her torpedo launcher reload time. The Yamato is receiving a mix of a nerf and a buff, basically affecting her dispersion, which looks to be getting nerfed, and a buff in regards to her turret rotation speed. It wouldn't be a World of Warships Legends patch update without a buff to the Vanguard, which is now getting improved dispersion along with a reduction in her rudder shift. The German battleships Tirpitz and Bismarck are both receiving a buff in regards to their shell grouping. Furthermore, the Tirpitz is receiving a buff in regards to her torpedo tube's armour against incoming high explosive shells. The French battleship Champagne or Champagne is receiving a buff in regards to her main battery range, her shell grouping, and her reload time, and her repair party as well. The French battleship Gascogne is also receiving a buff in regards to her repair party. Now, for the Russian tier 5 destroyer, the Gnevi, she's really receiving a mix of a buff and a nerf. She's getting a nerf to her turret rotation, but she's also getting a buff in regards to her general survivability, or the survivability of her steering gears and engine modules. The Tashkent is receiving an alternative consumable where she'll be able to swap out her smoke generator for a repair party. The Italian premium destroyer, the Leone, is receiving an alternative consumable where she can swap out her generic smokescreen for an exhaust smokescreen. Furthermore, all Italian cruisers seem to be getting a buff in regards to the dispersion time and the duration of the exhaust smokescreen consumable. And it looks like in general all battleships are receiving a buff in regards to their secondary battery. Secondary batteries will now change priorities to target destroyers in the case where there's multiple options for the secondaries to target. In regards to effects to commanders, there's buffs and there's nerfs. The buffs are affecting the traits before it's too late, which is the detectability of incoming torpedoes, flank speed, which affects your rudder shift time on destroyers, marksmanship, which affects your rudder shift on a battleship. That's usually like a negative, so that's being like honed in a bit. Mortars will also being buffed on destroyers, affecting the visibility. Federucius is being buffed in regards to the maximum speed. Evil Sparks, the legendary skill, is being buffed in regards to the decrease in HE shell damage. And Running with Scissors is receiving a buff in regards to the negative trait of the dispersion, I guess you could say. In regards to nerfs, you'll probably see that there's actually quite a theme here. The theme is detectability, potentially mostly for destroyers. Basically, the traits that are getting nerfed is Fragile Threat, where the buff to your reduction in detectability is being nerfed. Furthermore, the base trait of Eric Bay is being nerfed a little bit as well in regards to the detectability of destroyers. The base trait of Swirsky, the Pan-European Commander, which is provided when you purchase the Orkan or Bixiviska, his base trait has been reduced as well, but his base trait affects the concealment of all ships. And the other nerf, I guess you say, is in regards to the Ingenious trait, which is on quite a few cruiser commanders, and basically what they're doing is they're affecting the buff to the rotation of turrets. Now, from the end of the next patch, the Oklahoma project will be removed. So, if you can, or if you haven't already, you do need to start making a start on the Oklahoma project in order to ensure that you don't miss out on collecting the Tier 4 Premium Battleship Oklahoma. In regards to premium ships coming this patch, we're getting the first Tier 5 premium carrier, the Japanese aircraft carrier Zuho, so that's going to be potentially interesting. We also have the Tier 6 American destroyer Charles F. Hughes, which will also be available for doubloons. And then for the first time, we are receiving a legendary tier cruiser. It's the Soviet cruiser Stalingrad, which will be available for 2 million global XP. It's potentially on the high side. I think 1.5 million, which would be 2 times that of a tier 7, would have been like a nice bar. But 2 million, it's potentially acceptable. At the end of the day, if you think about it, if you are grinding it for free, it's something for free. I think the only time that's really going to be affecting people is if you're going to be purchasing it. Now, she does seem to be a heavy cruiser. Probably something similar to the Alaska. So she's got 12-inch guns, I guess is one way to put it. She's also got defensive AA and radar as well. Looks like she's got quite a bit of speed, reasonable HP pool, quite good performing AP shells as well. So in general, it seems like she could be quite good. It's also worth noting that even though when you select the premium symbol, legendary ships appear within your roster, World of Warships Legends consider the legendary ships not to be premium ships. So what they're going to do is potentially obviously make changes to her performance as time goes on, very much like they've done with the Yamato and the my mind now escapes me, the Alaska, but also it looks like they're also releasing her with a permanent camouflage, I believe, which it could be quite nice. Well, that is everything in regards to the patch notes, and there's not really much more to add. In regards to my opinions and things like that on some of the things, we'll kind of leave that for the live stream later today. So that just leaves me in regards to just cover some of the channel stuff. Well, the Patreon pick has one of them's been done. I'm potentially thinking about doing another one. I just need the Patrons to get back to me in regards to what they exactly wanted. Furthermore, on Patreon there is a bit of a poll, so if those of you who don't check in on Patreon that often, feel free to check in and just check out the poll and see what you want to vote on in regards to that. And then in general to the rest of the channel, this Friday, as a bit of a celebration for my 30th, I've decided to do a Let's Play and Q&A live stream. Basically, it'll be the standard style of live stream where I just chat with you guys and just play. But what I'm doing is at the moment, up on the community tab of the channel, if you haven't seen already, is a post basically saying ask me almost anything. Very much like I did with the 1K Q&A. The idea is to take a couple of questions from you guys, and then when I'm streaming in between games, I'll switch to what I call the at the desk view. I'll just see if I can answer a couple of these questions that you have put down there. Obviously, the more questions that get put up, I will then obviously try and just cherry pick a few interesting ones here and there. But if there's not a lot, then I might see if I can get through them all. You never know. The idea is obviously try and do it within like a 2 to 3 hour stream. Obviously, how much time I have for questions will probably vary, I guess you could say, in comparison to say how much I did on the 1K Q&A. But if you want to check out the community post, then feel free to do so. In regards to videos, there's not really much more to add. And simply just let's see if we can get to the next patch and see how it goes. And if you like this content, then feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber, which most likely you are, I'd like to say thank you very much. I'd also like to say thank you to the patrons. And down in the description is the email address for the channel if you want to send any viewing game captures, and the link to Patreon if you want to support the channel on Patreon. I'd like to say thank you to everyone as always. And until next time, I'm Gaff Major, and back to the pool.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping Major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down. I guess this is the life. Now, hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping Major.